speaking as a communications professional, on the whole, how do you think your boss did last night in this event?
I think she's very sporting. I think that she went through, she stood there and answered all of the questions from the press, answered Ed's many follow-ups. Yeah. We think people have this is a very confusing issue. We think people have questions that she's happy to address. When we get to the point where he's asking you 4 times about wiping the server, which I think is something that most Americans don't understand, including Hillary Clinton, how that would work, right. Then you've gotten to the point where, where you've answered all the questions you need to do. We're particularly in this month want her to cycle through and take as many questions as possible on this subject, and we want to try to clear up as much misunderstandings as possible and move on.
Right. Her tone seemed a little at times dismissive. Occasionally, her body language was not that great.
She was in good humor.
You thought she was in good humor?
Yes, I do. I think she was in good humor. She was laughing at Ed. I think that the, wiping the server with a cloth. I think probably most people found that amusing. Right. And she's sitting there, and or in this case, she's standing there, and she's taking all these questions. And I think that she actually shows good humor about it, and also a little bit of humanity. People always say we need to see authentic Hillary, right. And so if she gets a little frustrated, then you get to see that too.
So let me ask a couple serious questions about this. Right. The line she seemed to be propagating last night was that if she did propagate was that if she had kept everything on a government server and not had a private email account, we would be going through the same thing.
True.
Clearly, that's not quite right.
Yeah,
in the sense that, well, let me just put it to you this way. It seems that there's one of the things that many people are concerned about, and not just Republican partisans, is the notion that there might be classified material, whether it was classified at the time or classified now. Let's just call it sensitive material, that by being on a private server, a home server that was not secure, that might raise security issues for the United States of America, right? And that's why some people are more concerned about this. That's why it's different than a different conversation, it seems to me, than if she had merely done what every other cabinet secretary did and kept everything on her department server.
Not every other cabinet secretary, first of all. Their cabinet secretaries use personal email addresses and our personal email accounts, as did at least one of her predecessors. But the point she was making is that this was all in an unclassified email system. So if she had had a state.gov account, the same thing would have happened in terms of the possibility of other departments. Again, I think it's really important for people to understand it is not the State Department, her department, that thinks any of this needs to be classified. While it's getting ready to be public, other departments think that. But it's also, obviously she takes classified information very seriously. She didn't look at it online. She looked at it in a hard copy. She looked at it in person. And but it's also true that the State Department email system was hacked. Right. By the Russians. Yeah. So it's not as if, and that's a serious concern, and that's, and obviously she would be concerned to make sure her email server was secure, but it's not as if that didn't happen at state.
That would seem to elevate the concern, right? That if the State Department's email could be hacked, then her email could be hacked more easily, no?
Well,
or at least hers.
Not necessarily. It seems like it's more likely that
no one would know in the government, right? We know the State Department's email was hacked for a set of reasons.
I just think it's, in terms, if that's your concern, it is certainly worth noting that state was hacked.
Right. She makes a big point of the fact that these email were not, that she didn't send or receive an email that was not marked classified. Right. That in itself is a different posture than she had taken earlier in the year, where she said she hadn't sent classified email. She now talks about markings as if the markings are important.
Well, because think about the word classified.
Right.
Classified means someone's looked at it and made a decision that it needs to be classified in a certain manner. Right. So classified information by definition means it's marked.
Right.
We talk about, I think it's clearer for people when you say marked, but the word classified, that's what it means. It means that it's marked.
Right. Attorney General Mukasey, former Attorney General Mukasey, wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal the other day where he talked about this issue and pointed out that it is in fact the responsibility of government officials. Nobody sits on your shoulder determining whether something's classified. That if you are a government official, you're responsible for making sure that you're not disseminating classified material or holding it in a non-secure place.
Certainly, you have obligation to make sure that you're not that you're handling all classified material and any kind of information sensitively.
Right. But the rules put the onus on the government official. Right. It's not a question of whether the things are marked or not marked. It seems to me that is what the law says.
That's because that's the process that it goes through.
And we've seen government officials convicted for handling, including David Petraeus, convicted of crimes for handling classified material that was not marked classified. So it seems to me like that this is an interesting argument she's making, but but not actually germane to the case.
No, it is. I mean, it is. It's exactly germane to the case because it has to be classified in order for it to be in violation of sending it. It is. I mean, I grant you that it is that the conversation gets pretty academic at some point, even. But in terms of how you handle the information, it's either classified at the time or it's not.
But she's
also, John, like the State Department said none of this was classified.
Right.
And now other departments are deciding for their own reasons, not State Department, for their own equities, they want to classify for something that doesn't have anything to do with state.
Right.
So it's just, so that is a very different process. And that's why when she says this doesn't have anything to do with me, she means because this is about other departments and their concerns.
Was the Secretary of State aware of the fact that there is material that gets sent that at one time is not considered classified but that can later become classified? She's aware of that process, right, when she was Secretary of State?
But this is, I don't understand your question.
Well, my question is if she was aware of the fact that something could be classified later in time, and it's against...
In which case you don't ever write anything down ever, you know?
Well, it is against the law. It is against the law to have classified material in an unauthorized location. That is the case. So if you know that well, this would be an argument for keeping all of your stuff in an authorized location, to do all of your business on an authorized location, yes. If you knew there was sensitive material that might not be classified today, but could be classified in the future, it would be incumbent on you then not to take any material to an unauthorized location.
That would suggest that you can't speak or ever write. I
don't think it would be suggesting that at all.
It is. That is. This is. You have to be able. People have to be able to. They need to be able to work. They need to be able to communicate. And she had thousands and thousands of emails, and the State Department looked through all of them, and they said none of them.
Well, they didn't look through all of them. They didn't look through the 30,000 some that she decided to delete.
Yes, neither have we seen any of the emails that Governor Bush decided were personal.
We're not discussing Governor Bush. He was not the Secretary of State.
Why?
Jennifer, there's no email that Jeb Bush ever handled that had anything to do with national security.
I think, well, he had National Guard.
Here's a question that was asked yesterday that she wouldn't answer, which was whether or not she wiped the server. Okay, so it is the case that her lawyer has said the server was wiped, right? So did she or did she not direct someone to do more than delete the emails, but in fact to then either wipe, scrub, go deeper into the system? Did she direct that to happen or not?
No, I think when you're getting to the level of what actually technically happens on a server.
I'm not getting into that. I'm asking what she directed people to do with her server. Did she delete the email or did she ask more than deletion to happen? When I delete email, I hit delete. That's all I do. That's what most Americans do when they want to delete an email. So did she ask someone to do more than that or not?
No.
No.
She said she had lawyers to look at all the emails and decide what was personal and what was official, and she decided to not retain the personal ones, and they were deleted.
And she asked,
beyond that, like any technical questions about servers that's not. That's not the question I'm asking.
You're saying that she did not direct anyone to do more than merely delete the emails.
I'm saying they had them go through it and they deleted the emails.
I'm asking.
I don't understand
the question is. I think for many people is the notion that if I had personal emails about my yoga practice or about my daughter's wedding that I didn't want people to see, if I deleted them, I would hit a delete button.
Right.
I don't know. Her lawyer is now saying that the email's been wiped, and that's what the FBI is going to look at right now when they have the server. So the question is, what did she ask to be done with those emails?
To be deleted, and beyond that, I don't know, and beyond that, I don't understand. I don't know. This is like everyone's an expert on inflating footballs, and now everybody's an expert on wiping servers. Like, I don't know how that all works.
Right.
But but she certainly owns the fact that she made a decision to have them look at it and say, here's what we should keep, and here's what is personal. I mean, here's what we should turn over to the State Department, and this is what is personal and what I don't think I want to keep. And she owns that, and then beyond how
I do. Trust me, Jennifer. I totally understand that you don't know the details of how servers are scrubbed, and I don't know the details of how servers are scrubbed. But there is a difference. If I maintain a personal server, there's a difference between me saying, let's delete these emails, and me saying to a computer professional, say, please make sure there's no trace of these emails left on this server. There's a difference between those two.
And why is that? So I don't know. I mean, all I know is we said she didn't keep them. I mean, delete them. Beyond how that impacted the server, I don't.
Right. So you don't actually know what she directed be done with these emails. You don't know what specific direction she gave.
I know that she said, look through my emails and see what should go to the State Department and what's personal, and she decided that she didn't want to keep the ones that were personal. Right. That's what we know. And then beyond, but here's the thing. The the Department of Justice now has a server so they can see if there's any, their concern is there anything on there, any of her emails on there, because there's sensitive information. They want to make sure it's secure. That's their concern. So now they have it, and they're able to see.
Well, or not. Or if the thing has been thoroughly scrubbed, they may not be able to see anything.
Well, then I think that's the outcome they want.
And then in which case,
that's the outcome they want, because their concern is whether or not the information is secure.
In which case, no, but they will not know. They will not know that at all. All they know is that she may or may not have deleted emails that had to do with government business.
That's not what their concern is.
That is what a lot of people are concerned with.
But that's not what the Department of Justice is concerned. Their concern, it's a security inquiry. They're concerned to make sure that the information is secure. We, if they find the server has been thoroughly scrubbed, they will have no idea whether there were ever classified emails on that server. But that's not what they're looking for, John. This is security inquiry. They want to make sure that if her emails, her lawyer had it on a thumb drive, they wanted the thumb drive because they didn't want that. They wanted to have that secure. It was locked up in a safe by the State Department. They want it secure, and that is why they want the server. They wanted the server so they could look at it to see if there's any emails on it, because they want to make sure that information is secure.
Let me ask you a question about Platte River Systems, which is the company that she...
I'm probably not going to be able to...
Well, I'm going to ask the question anyway. There was a story yesterday in the Daily Mail about this company and it being run out of an apartment in Denver and having its server in a bathroom. I'm curious as to what you know about how they came to be retained by Mrs. Clinton. You have no idea?
No, I don't.
I have no idea how they were chosen, whether they were vetted, whether she had any idea about who the company was,
No.
You just don't know about that.
I don't.
You know nothing about it. Okay. You guys have made the point, and she made the point. She made the point at the fair, and she made the point subsequently. The notion that no one is paying attention to this, but elites, basically. That no one asks about it. No, she never hears about it.
She didn't say that. She said that nobody asked her about it. It's true. No one does.
She says no one asked her about it. But is it your belief or her belief, either one, that actual voters don't care about this at all?
No, we do think people have questions, and that's part of the reason why we're going through a relatively aggressive education process, and her talking to voters through the press and answering all those questions. I think people, obviously, they see a lot of coverage of it. It's very confusing. We want to demystify it for people, and also have them see her answering questions from the press. Although it sort of can devolve into more complicated minutia. But it's just true that people don't raise it with her.
Right.
Which I think, it's not, I think that maybe, I know you've speculated that people might not be comfortable raising it with her, but they talk to her about other issues, right? They talk about issues that affect them.
Let me ask you one question before we end, just to go back to a big question I think a lot of people, normal people have, right? And a lot of reporters have it too.
Because some reporters are normal people.
Yeah, some reporters, some. Why? This is still the core issue, I think, for a lot of people. Why? I think most people do not take seriously the notion that convenience was the reason that she did this. And most people think that this was a pretty unprecedented, unusual thing for Secretary of State to do.
It's not unprecedented.
To have a home-brewed server in their house, it is. Jennifer, there's no one. There have been past Secretaries of State who have used personal email addresses.
Like it was.
She had a server in her house.
Yeah.
She had a server in her house.
Because her husband was a former president, and
again, nonetheless, it's still unprecedented. So why?
I think that I've encountered this a lot in politics, where people think that the answer is a lot more complicated than it really is. And she's answered this many times, and she had, she did have her own email account. Others had done it before, and it was just more convenient, and she kept it like that. And she didn't really think that's the thing. She didn't really think it through, and she has said, had she would have done it differently, because obviously it has, turned into a big distraction, and it's caused a great deal of consternation, and she she would do it differently. She regrets that happened.
I know you enjoy answering these kind of questions. I want to ask you on a scale of 1 to 10 right now, how much fun are you having in your job?
8.
8. Wow, fantastic. High degree of job satisfaction. All right, Jennifer Palmieri, thank you for going through this with me today.
It was a pleasure, Todd.